Okay, so we are good there. Share screen. Share screen. Cool. Okay. First things first. If between now and test time you get quarantined or you're virtual, you guys will be taking your test on the computer. If you are in class, you'll be taking a paper test, just regular old test. If you are quarantined, obviously you don't have the option to come to school at all. But if you are just virtual and you'd like to come and take your test, you can come and take your test at the school from 1 to 3. So you just have to let me know so I can get your paper test ready. If you're taking it at home, if you get quarantined, you guys that I'm looking at, and the virtual kids that are listening to this, you have to Zoom in. I will send out the Zoom codes, how to get in the Zoom. You have to Zoom in with your cell phone, prop your cell phone to be Zooming, and then take your test on a computer. So you need 2 devices to take this so that you can be Zooming and be taking your test. There are no notes, no study guide, no other browsers, any of that stuff. For this test, you have to study. Okay, so I've given you the study guide, and that's what we're going to go over today. We probably don't have time to go over all 40 questions. I'm just guessing. I will do my best to get through as many as I can, but what I'm going to do is just allow you guys to ask what questions you want to go over, and I'll hop around. I do have the answers, so I'm going to put these here. I will let you guys take a picture of this if you want. It will be on this Zoom so that people can screenshot it or whatever. These are the answers. Okay. Now, again, I'll give this to you. These are the answers. But I know you want to go over some of them.
So does that mean every test answer will be like that?
Wait, say that again.
Does that mean every test answer will look like that? Or there's any different numbers?
Well, your test is multiple choice. So your test key is going to be like A, C, D, B kind of stuff. But they'll be similar to these. But yeah. And then while you guys are taking a picture of that, I am giving, or I'm going to ask the students today if people want to Zoom tomorrow, just an optional Zoom for you to hop on and ask more questions. So if you don't get all your questions answered today, I plan on doing that tomorrow from 10 to 11. I'm just going to leave the Zoom open. If you want to pop in for 5 minutes, get your question answered, that's great. If you want to come in for the whole hour, that's fine. But if you want to Zoom with me tomorrow, it's from 10 to 11. So that splits the classes. Because not everybody has me at 10 o'clock. You guys do, but like my 7th hour students, they technically don't have me until the afternoon. So I don't know what their 2nd hour teacher does. So that gives them the option to kind of hop in at any point during that hour, okay? So if you want to Zoom tomorrow, that's from 10 to 11 only, okay? So during that time frame, totally optional. And then would anyone be interested in a second study guide just for additional practice? No points. I'm not giving you bonus for it. I mean, it literally is just for extra practice. Okay, then I will post that with the key. One document will have your test like questions, and then at the very end, the last page will be the key. Okay, so all of that will be available to you so that you have additional practice. And you can totally ask questions about that too if you'd like. Okay, I think that covers all of the stuff. So now where do y'all want me to start? Yes, ma'am. 39? 31. Oh, yeah. Everybody's going to want 31. Okay. If y'all doubt that I love you, I do love you because I almost gave you your whole midterm on that test y'all cheated on. I almost made the whole midterm over that unit, but I didn't because I'm not as awful as, Yeah, right. So, but this is that test. Okay, this goes along with that whole unit that we struggle with. Y'all listen, I'm not going to do this if you aren't going to listen to me. So if you remember that this is a median, the median connects a vertex to the midpoint. So K is the midpoint. Okay, so the relationship though is that from the vertex to the centroid, and then from the centroid to the midpoint, there's a relationship with that. This from Q to L is twice as long as L to K. Okay, so since we can look at it that way, we know that we could break this into 3 equal parts. Part 1, part 2, part 3. Okay, so it would be a lot easier to do if they just told us what LK was, but they didn't. Okay, the information that they gave us was QL, which is 2/3 of the whole QK. So the way that we can solve this is we can say, okay, QL is going to equal 2/3 of QK. Now, why 2/3? This is double this, which means there are 2 parts here, 1 part there. So you've got 1 part, 2 parts, 3 parts, 3 parts. Because that's the rule that I taught you back in, well, you know, whenever we learned this, like October, September. But it's always the case, like always. Okay, so this is always going to be 2, and this will just be 1. Okay? All right. So then what makes this problem even harder is that you have all these fractions. Okay? So you can embrace those fractions. You get to use a calculator, so you could just use the fractions if you want, or I'm going to show you how to get rid of the fractions. So QL is -6/5 plus X, and then 2/3, this is 7/5 X minus 6/5. Okay, so obviously it'd be a lot easier if it was just like 2x plus 5, okay, but it's not. Okay, so we have these fractions here. So the first thing that I'm going to do is distribute 2/3. When I distribute that 2/3, remember when you're multiplying fractions, you multiply top, top, bottom, bottom. So this is 14/15 minus 12/15. Now, I want to get rid of the fractions. If you didn't want to get rid of the fractions, if you're cool with it, then you would simply just like subtract X or subtract 14/15 X, add 6/5. You would just start solving, okay? But I don't want to have those fractions. I want to get rid of those. So what I'm going to do is multiply the whole thing by the least common denominator, which is got to be 15, okay? Because 5 won't do anything to those 15s, so I'm multiplying by 15. When you multiply 15 times -6/5, you can either do that in a calculator, or I'm going to just kind of do it up here, 15/1 times -6/5. If you remember back from like, I don't know, elementary school, not elementary school, like middle school, you can cross simplify. 5 goes into 5 1 time, 5 goes into 15 3 times. Then you have 3 times -6, which is -18, which is what it's going to simplify to be, -18. Then we have 15 times X, which is 15X. Then we have 15 times 14/15, which those are just going to cancel. That 15 and the bottom 15 cancel, leaving you with 14x. And same thing here, just leaves us with -12. Now that is not hard. Once you get to this part, you're good to go. All of this up here, a little hard. Okay, but now you just have -18 plus 15x equals 14x minus 12. That's not bad at all. So you simply just start solving. I'm going to subtract 14x. That's going to leave me with 1x, or just x. I'm going to add 18. That's going to leave me with 6. So x equals 6. So even though all this fraction and yuck was here and very ugly, it turns out to be decent. Now the question, though, wants to know, what is LK? Well, in order for us to find LK, we need to find QL and cut it in half, okay, because it's double LK. So QL is negative 6 over 5 plus x, which we just found out that x is 6. Okay, I'll put 6 over 1. In order to do this without a calculator, you have to come up with a common denominator. So that's negative 6 over 5 plus, that would be 30 over 5. And 30 divided by 5, 6. Okay, so then you add those together. Negative 6 plus 30 is 24 over 5. That is the whole thing. QL is 24 over 5, which 24 divided by 5 is 4.8. So this is 4.8, the whole thing. But to find LK, we have to split that in half. So what's half of 4.8? And that's your answer. The answer is 2.4. Now, if you're watching that and you're like, nope, 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 that's only one question. Okay, if you get that question wrong, you still have a 39 out of 40. You still make a 98%. Okay, so don't panic over one problem, but you're definitely capable of doing that. Like it's totally fine. You just have to get past the ugly. Yeah. It's kind of a mixture. This one is a decimal. Yeah. As long as they're good. 2/3 you can't, but 7 divided by 5, yeah, you could do that one. 6 divided by 5, yeah. So that's a good way to go about it. Try to make it into a decimal and then go from there. But 2/3 is 0.6 repeater. So that one's not gonna. You probably could get close enough. Like if you did like 0.6 and you got down to your answer choices and you got like 2.3, you would know that it's close because, and it's not exact because you rounded. But that's a good method. Number 31 on your test will be like this. It's exact match. Number 30 will look like this. 29 will look like this. It'll be full sheets like mine. Like you'll have full sheets like this. What else? What's next, you guys?
32.
32. Okay. That one's actually easier than you think. You guys, I just don't think we're... Yeah. This is, and that's exactly what, who did? I don't know. One of the students was like, she didn't want to, y'all listen, she didn't want to spend the time to find the exact midpoints. So she kind of just like winged it. You could probably get away with that and it would probably get you close enough since you're doing multiple choice. But the first thing you have to do is to find the midpoint of each side, okay, each segment. So like the top one is super easy because it's a horizontal line that's only 4 units long. So halfway to 4 is 2. So that one's super easy. So you're looking for the midpoint, okay? Then you would just connect the opposite vertex. So J is opposite. So I line those two things up. That's my first one, okay? And then like I was saying, like the student that was doing this like by winging it, she like looked at IJ and was like, that looks like the midpoint, and just drew a dot and connected it. Just, that looks like the midpoint, drew a dot and connected it. You could probably get away with that on the test, but if you don't want to chance it and you want to know that you have the right thing, you use the midpoint formula. Okay, so for I, that's located at 4, 0, and J is located at -1, -6. you would have your x's would be 4 plus -1 divided by 2, comma, 0 plus -6 divided by 2. So that would be 3 divided by 2, which is just 1.5, and -6 divided by 2, which is -3. So that midpoint is at 1.5, -3. So very, like, probably the same spot that I would have just picked if I eyeballed it, okay? Then you connect that that midpoint to the opposite vertex. And then that's probably enough information for your answer. Your answer is probably going to be 1, -2. Okay? But to finish it, because it is a multiple choice test, like y'all realize multiple choice tests are like the bomb. Because a lot of times you can take shortcuts, but you need to learn how to do that. It is an important skill because you guys have got to take the ACT, and ACT is multiple choice, and you've got to learn to take shortcuts because it's like physically impossible to do 60 questions in 60 minutes without taking shortcuts. Okay. So that would be like, I've got my answer, bubble it, and keep moving. But you don't have to rush on this test. Okay. This test is not one that you're going to need to rush through. So let's go ahead and find the midpoint for HJ. H is at 0, 0. So that would be 0 minus 1 divided by 2, 0 minus 6 divided by 2. Because plus a negative is just the same thing as minus. So that would be -1 divided by 2, which is -0.5. And -6 divided by 2, which again is -3. So -1/2 down to -3. And then here's the issue. People want to connect these dots. You're not connecting the midpoints. The midpoint goes to the opposite vertex. Like that. And so bingo, you have your answer. They are going to cross at 1, -2. That's your solution. What else? Here, I'll do 38. Will you hand that to her? We're doing 38. Okay, 38. Remember for 38, this one's different than the triangle. With the triangle, you were just taking it and cutting it in half. But with this one, you've got to add top plus bottom divided by 2 equals the x, or the middle, if I use words. Okay, top plus bottom divided by 2 equals the middle. So the top is 18, the bottom is 16 divided by 2 equals the middle, x plus 6. So 18 plus 16 is 34, okay? 34 divided by 2 is 17. 17 equals x plus 6, subtract 6. So what does x equal? 11. Now, does that answer the question? Yeah. 13. This one? Okay, going to number 13. Okay, 13 wants you to reflect across x equals -1. Now, x equals -1 is a vertical line. Okay, so that's like the first thing you have to know, which you should know, that x equals a number is a vertical line, and y equals a number is a horizontal line. Okay, so we've got our line there and we're reflecting across that. So it's super easy, don't make it hard. S is 2 units to the left, so its reflection will be 2 units to the right. T is 2 units to the right, so its reflection will be 2 units to the left. U is 1 unit to the right, so it's going to be 1 unit to the left. And connect your dots. And everybody gets all weirded out that it's like flopped on top of itself, but that's just how this one works. Just like that. That's the reflection. Next. I'll do this one while it's showing. A lot of you came and asked me about this one. How do you know it's a reflection versus a rotation? Well, like if you look at this one, this is a reflection because look at your F's. Your F's are like right there beside each other, okay? If it wasn't flipped over, then F would have to be somewhere down here at the bottom, okay, of the image. But this one's like flipped like a pancake. So that is definitely a reflection. And you're going to have to identify what it reflected over. In this case, it's this line right here because F is 1 unit away, F prime is 1 unit away. That's our line of reflection. G is 3 units off the line. G is 3 units off the line. So that's your line of reflection. It's horizontal. So we just talked about all horizontal is Y equals. And that one is at +1. So it's a reflection over Y equals 1. Versus this one is not a reflection, okay? And it's not just a regular old slide, okay? A slide would just move it up, down, left, or right. This one's been rotated, okay? So how has it been rotated? Well, the only ones that we really learned were the ones that rotate around the origin. So if you remember, I liked to make everything like a fan. So I'm connecting V to the origin, and you could even continue it going if you wanted to, both directions. Because if you do it that way, then you can see all of the major rotations, okay? So if we go all the way straight line and we were to end up all the way over here, well, that's 180. But we're not. We're just going from here to here, which is 90 degrees. Well, are we going clockwise or counterclockwise? So this is a rotation 90 degrees counterclockwise. Like this one down here, 180. And you don't have to say clockwise or counterclockwise because it's just a rotation of 180 degrees. Would be 90 degrees clockwise. And we didn't talk about it being like 67 degrees or, so it's not gonna be like that on your, yeah. What else? Y'all did okay with everything? Nobody has questions? That's boring. I'm not going to send out work. I'm just doing work right now. So the only thing that you're going to get from me is this and what you are getting right now. So nobody else has any other questions. Okay, do you want to, is anybody going to want to Zoom tomorrow? It's okay if you don't. Like, it's totally an optional thing. Nobody in this class? Okay, that's fine. I'm just asking because I'm not going to do it if every class is like, no, which is fine. First hour was like, no, we don't want to Zoom. So that's totally fine. So just asking each hour. If you are sitting here and you're like, no, I do want to, I just don't want to raise my hand, just shoot me an email and say, hey, I actually do want to Zoom tomorrow. I'll probably open a Zoom anyways and just have it sitting there. And if I just sit in my classroom and work, at least you have the option. Okay. Anybody have any questions? I don't want to leave y'all hanging. Y'all feel good? Feel okay? Okay, like I said, there's not any tricks. I'm not trying to like play a joke on you. Like your test will have 40 questions, just like this has 40 questions. Your number 28 will look like this number 28. Okay? It's not going to be a surprise. Like they are mirrored. It just won't be like this will be different. And there'll be multiple choice. Yeah. I'm gonna just give me just a second. I'll put it back up there. Oh man, it's still converting.